When one thinks of wine, they rarely think of Fresno, California. But in a bygone era, some of the largest and most productive wineries and distilleries of California, possibly even the world, called Fresno County their home. The biggest by far was St. George Vineyard in Maltermoro, California. There is a world by itself out at St. George Vineyard, 5 miles east of Fresno, and a well-regulated and highly successful world it is. The vineyard, which comprises 300 acres, is owned by George H. Malter. In addition to the large vineyard and immense winery, there is at Maltermoro a general store, which is well stocked with every character of goods needed by employees of the place or by those vineyardists who sell the product of their vineyards to Mr. Malter. There are comfortable houses on the place for the men, a printing establishment, and a post office. There are 3 great tuns in which the wine is blended, either of which is larger than the world-celebrated tun of Heidelberg. The elevator building is 80 feet high, boasting the largest wine vat in the world at 82,000 gallons. Everything with Maltermoro is on a like gigantic scale. It even had its own railroad spur. George Hugo Malter was born in Silesia, Prussia in 1852, where he was educated at a polytechnic school and became a mining engineer. Still a teenager, he emigrated to the United States in 1868 and settled first in Chicago. A year later, he relocated to San Francisco. He organized the firm of Malter, Linden Rogers, contractors and builders of heavy mills and mining machinery, was one of the first engineers to supervise the installation of blast furnaces in the United States, and for a brief moment, he was president of Etna Iron Works. In 1879, he began purchasing land in the Fresno area, 480 acres. Over time, he purchased more land until he owned some 4,000 acres along Fancher Creek, 2,000 of which were planted to vines. The St. George Vineyard was founded in 1879 with the planting of the first 160 acres of vines, growing grapes for the table, for raisins, for wine, and brandy. It eventually consisted of 6 vineyards, aggregating nearly 2,000 acres. Annually, these vineyards produced approximately 6,000 tons, of which about a third were varieties of raisins. The winery itself processed about 10,000 tons of grapes annually for wine and brandy purposes. Malter maintained a huge 3-story mansion on the property, which contained one of the most valuable private libraries ever assembled in California. He was noted for his public spirit in entertaining visitors, having served as a sort of unofficial host for many dignitaries visiting Fresno. He was also, for a year or more, the publisher of the Maltermoro Daily Keystone, which in 1898 merged with the Fresno Evening Democrat. In 1902, the very first winery, with all of its contents of nearly 1 million gallons of wine and brandy, together with the packing house, the raisin seeding plant, and cream of tartar works, were destroyed by extensive fire, causing over $500,000 in damages. Malter never personally managed his properties, but maintained residences there and San Francisco. In 1906, after the earthquake and subsequent fires, he moved permanently to his residence at Maltermoro. During the Prohibition era from 1920 to 1933, the U.S. government prohibited the production, importation, transportation, and sales of alcoholic beverages. This was a huge blow to St. George Vineyard, crippling it financially. Malter died in 1927. He left behind little wealth aside from his residence, having spent much of his fortune on his collection of rare worldly artifacts and his extensive library. Located in what is known today as Sunnyside, near the intersection of Clovis Boulevard and Kings Canyon Road, the estate traded hands several times until it was eventually sold and converted into Blakely's public swimming pool. Today it is the Torrey Ridge Apartments and Townhome Complex. All signs of the property's former grandeur are gone, just a whisper in the winds of time.